Welcome to another episode of the CHERIE MERCADO podcast, where for 1 hour we get to talk to one person in our community. We have here today, she's half Filipino, she's half Canadian. Her mom is Canadian and her dad is Filipino. And she grew up here, no, in Canada. Let's get to know more about Susan May Felipe. Hi, Susie.
Hey, Cherry.
Welcome to the podcast. Tell us first about you growing up in a household with a pure Canadian mother and a Filipino father.
It was interesting for sure. The cultural differences were pretty apparent in like my upbringing. My dad was born and raised in the Philippines, military background, so very structured. Very. He was obviously the disciplinarian.
Filipino parents are known to be strict. Plus, he's in the military, so
correct.
Couldn't have been a walk in the park for your childhood. And you're the eldest too.
Right. The trailblazer, I guess. And my mom being like fourth generation Canadian. I wouldn't say lax, but definitely more gentle parenting, laid back. So it was interesting finding the balance. Yeah.
So how was it like? So you're the eldest, and then how would what would your dad's discipline points? What would it be like? His non-negotiables.
Respect for sure, punctuality, academics.
Punctuality.
Yeah, academics. Yeah, those are probably the big three: respect, punctuality, academics.
Was it difficult for you to have to? Because there are some kids. I know I'm a rebel. I'm kind of. I always question the rules unless I understand the rules and what it's there for. Even as a kid, I really wouldn't follow. I was just wondering, like, how is the young Susie like with rules?
I think the younger me was a people pleaser for sure. So I knew if I knew the rules, I knew the blueprint, I knew how to please.
A good girl.
Yeah, I think my younger siblings got to question things more and had that I guess more leniency towards doing maybe a little bit more rebellious things in childhood, but definitely was a people pleaser as a child. Yeah.
So give us a picture of your childhood. I suppose I'm kind of painting it now. You had good grades.
Yeah, good grades. Excelled in sports. Big helper on the house. I think typical for
You're a dream daughter.
Yeah, I think being the eldest, I kind of went into that role. I guess with a Filipino upbringing, for sure, a lot of the responsibility.
And you didn't resent that.
Maybe later on in life, I think. But it was fairly easy for me to balance those things.
Okay.
Yeah. Once I found the flow, I know how to do the dance. It was pretty easy for me.
Let's talk about the later on. That sounds interesting. So when were you, like, what were the crazy things you did when you were young?
I think it would probably start in high school. I think that I realized not too much is going to happen if I actually don't follow the rules. If I don't do it exactly as it's laid out for me. If I step outside of the box, it's not actually so bad. So I started to explore that a little bit more, taking school less seriously, kind of moving away from all of the responsibilities that were, I guess, opposed on me, I guess. So definitely became a little bit more of a rebel in high school to early 20s.
What did you do in your rebel days? What were your most I'm going to ask you, what is it that you don't want to reveal it during your, like, because we all go through that. I mean, for you to learn the lessons of life, you're going to have to break. I think, you when you break some rules and then after a while you get back in your way, which you obviously did. I mean, later on, we're going to talk about what you're involved in now. But
so I think really letting loose, partying, not going to school like I was supposed to, dropping out of high school, and then returning back and ending up graduating on time, finishing everything as I was supposed to. I guess came kind of full circle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you take up in university, in college?
I did business and society.
Business and society.
Right.
Okay. And what did you want to become? What was the goal for the adult Susie then?
Um, my dad was in finance. He always worked in the bank. So I think that was just the footsteps that I wanted to follow. I saw his successes, and I just figured that is the framework that I should follow under.
So you worked in the bank as well?
Yes, that was my first job. Yeah.
And then
In high school. And then I moved into mortgages. So I enjoyed that. But I think that I always had that yearning to do something that was more impactful, more personal.
when you were working in the bank and you wanted to be had more contribution in people's personal lives, what made you think you wanted to do that?
I think being able to see their profiles and just getting a brief glimpse, but never being too in depth in their actual relationship. I think that kind of was, I guess, tapped a little bit of my curiosity.
That's kind of refreshing to know, because a lot of people in the customer service or in our relationships with the things that we do every day in the bank or in other industries, you don't think these people care. But you do have to deal with them, and they have a lot to do with your life.
Right.
I mean, especially with the finances, planning your future, planning your families, your children's future. It's good to know that somebody. I'm sure a lot of people in this industry actually really care, but also in our daily dealings with them, some of them are like, you're just a number. You're just another statistic.
Exactly.
So,
Another sale, another product to push. Right.
Right. So it's good that, that's what I'm saying, that you wanted to get involved in this people's lives. So what did you do after that?
After that, I guess fast forward, I had my kids, and I was forced to be planning parties, baptisms for them. And I guess I kind of got good at it. And when people started to appreciate the stuff that I was doing, they started inviting me to do their milestones. And so I guess that kind of, that was just like a light switch for me right away. I knew that I really enjoyed being part of like their personal milestones, weddings, birthdays, all of that stuff. It was fulfilling to me. It was really fulfilling. Yeah.
And that's why you started your
event decor business.
Events business. Yeah. Okay. So at first it was your own events with your children.
Right.
And your families.
Yes.
As well. You were the ones organizing that. You must have liked parties. I mean, because it doesn't have to be, children's parties don't have to
be so extravagant.
Either extravagant or have all these paraphernalia there. You can just invite people over for food.
Right.
But it seems like when your kids were having parties, how do you prepare for those parties?
I really like to host. I like to make sure that people have an experience that they'll remember. It's not just going to be a birthday party. There's going to be little details that they won't forget, that they'll be able to take with them afterwards.
Like, what would you prepare? What would you put? Of course, there's going to be a theme based on what your kids want.
Little things, giveaways, a lot of personalization, stuff like that. Places that they can make memories. Like I do the backdrops, balloon garlands, places that they can like capture, like photo ops kind of thing, like that.
Now, what were your most interesting requests from clients, or extraordinary requests? Any
extraordinary ones? I really like. Well, the bachelorette parties are certainly funny ones.
Oh, you do that too?
Yeah, bachelorette parties are funny.
They get most of the ideas from you?
They'll bring me a mood board. And I think they're all pretty memorable. They're all memorable to me because they're all unique in their own way. And being able to work with each client from like the from the very beginning, from like just from a mood board and just elaborating on that and bringing them more ideas and making it bigger than they could have even expected themselves. I think they're all kind of like special in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're also a mother
Yeah.
of 3 kids.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about that journey first, because so your first the dad of your first kid. How did you meet, and what were the circumstances? What was the love story behind that? I'm always interested in love stories. Sorry.
I think so. We met at a restaurant downtown. He's a little bit older than me, so I wasn't expecting this to grow into something serious. It was just for fun. But we immediately hit it off. After I think it was a week of just hanging out and going out, he had told me that he's going to the Philippines. I think it was a week or a couple weeks after he told me he was going to go to the Philippines, and he'd be going away for a little while, for like 6 months. And
At this point, you just met like
Yeah.
a couple of weeks,
maybe months. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was a couple of months, and he told me he would be going to the Philippines, and we had at this time been like inseparable. So I was like, no, how could where are you going? It's so far away, different time zones. Like, how is this even gonna work? And so he said, well, would you come with me? And I was just like, all for the adventure, I guess. So we set off to the Philippines, and we went there for 6 months. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting. At that time, what were you doing before you got swept off your feet? That sounds like I'm already picturing the time like you and him were together. If it's that kind where you don't want to get separated from each other, that kind of
So I was
stage.
just I think I just completed my first year of university, I believe. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
So you had to take a leave from school.
yeah, I took a leave from school.
So
Again,
the things
there-
you do for love,
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah, I went and followed it to the Philippines. Yeah. I figured I was still young, I could still go back, but this opportunity might not come around again.
Very wise.
Yeah.
Very wise. Because it ended up.
It worked. At the time it worked.
It sounds like a hindsight, because like, at like my age, or when you're older, when you already have your family, then you look back and you're like, I wish I went with that guy.
Yeah,
And you
took
did
the
it while you were there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. And I'm pretending like I don't know about this, right? I don't know some of the story, but I actually saw Susie when she was in the Philippines back then.
Yeah.
Should we do the disclosure? No, the ex-boyfriend of Susie is my cousin, the guy who swept her off her feet. Oh, I'm glad that he had that in him. I'm proud of him. But so you went to. I must have known then that it was that romantic. So you were in the Philippines for 6 months. Was this the first time you went back to the
It
Philippines?
was the first time as an adult.
I
I went as a child. It's a completely different experience for me.
And
Yeah.
how did you find it? What were your
It was
thoughts?
life altering. It was definitely life altering. I guess seeing the culture. It was a huge culture shock for me. I went home with so much more gratitude for everything that my family was able to provide here. I guess seeing where my dad grew up, or seeing the things that he saw going on his way to school, all of these things like that you totally overlook when you're born and raised in Canada. Yeah.
So you visit some relatives? You
Yeah.
went there with your boyfriend at the time. I mean, to have a vacation. But did you
but
do
for
some
6 months you can't escape your family in the Philippines. They
That's
definitely
true.
found me right away.
Okay.
So we spent a lot of time with our family, visiting the different areas.
Do you remember what area? I mean, what province? Where
It
did
was
your dad grow up?
He grew up in Manila, but we Cebu we went to. Mostly Manila though. Yeah.
So you went to the beautiful beaches.
Yeah.
You went to. You mentioned you saw the school or the path to school where your dad used to.
I can't
go?
remember. The area is on the tip of my tongue. But I think just in general, just seeing what the kids go through there and seeing them waking up at 5 a.m. with their backpacks and just feeling, I guess, grateful to be able to have the opportunity to go to school as opposed to like here kicking and screaming going to the bus stop.
Yeah.
It's much different.
Mhm.
It's much different.
Mm-hmm. And you experienced the infamous traffic in Manila.
Yeah, that was
Mm-hmm.
interesting too. That was interesting. It took me a little while to get used to that, and then to come back here and the what we think is traffic is just like
Oh yeah, yeah. For us who have experienced Metro Manila traffic, we're like, when you guys complain about traffic,
it's
we're like,
nothing. Yeah.
seriously?
Yeah.
Okay, so 6 months is more than, yeah, it's more than just a vacation. That's why you're saying you've gotten to know.
Yeah, I was completely submerged in
Yeah.
the culture for sure.
Were there any uh l- lights that switched on, like, oh, something about like your identity when you went there? Is it like
The hustle of the people, the like making money from being a little kid selling cigarettes or selling candies to whatever it is. Everyone's a business owner. Everyone is doing multiple streams of income just to survive.
get by?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I really like admired that. I admired seeing them every morning outside the condo and they're so personable. They wanted to make a connection with you. It doesn't matter what they were selling or what they were doing. Everyone wanted to make their experience with you memorable. So that was
Mhm.
something that I really took back with me when I came back to Canada. And it's just kind of you're in the Tim Hortons drive-through and you're next.
Mhm.
It's different.
Mhm.
But-
Yeah, it's actually, now that you said that, it's the other way around for me because I grew up in that culture and I've always thought everyone is like that.
Mhm.
So when I experienced other culture where you're not as hospitable or you're not as friendly, but they don't mean
They don't see it that way.
bad
Yeah,
also.
you're right.
I mean, that's just the way it is. For me, I used to take it personally. I'm like, why don't you like me? I mean, what did I do wrong? Why aren't you saying hi? Or why aren't you helping me with, with
Yeah.
stuff? Because Filipinos are so helpful. They see you carrying 3 bags, they're going to get,
Right.
even if they don't know you, well, not, some might be stealing it from you. but yeah, so that there's that cultural difference. But since you grew up here, yeah, you probably relate really to more being a Canadian,
Mhm.
no, than your Filipino roots. But your dad was big on sports.
Yes.
He was big on Filipino basketball. You were
Right.
saying he's one of the pioneers of
Right.
Filipino basketball in Canada.
Correct.
Can you tell us about that and what's the influence on you in sports? Because you also dabble into it.
Right. So growing up, I was always in the gym. Everyone knew my dad. He was every gym all across Toronto. He was there. He coached. He played. So he had a big impact on, I guess, basketball in the Filipino community. He did a bunch of volunteering. So I think I take that from him, wanting to have an impact, wanting to help, wanting to be a part of the community. The team building, that kind of stuff is really important to me. So I think that's also something that I try to implement in my daily life, in my business, in my family. But yeah.
That's true. It's not just the sports per se. I mean, growing up as a child of an athlete, that's not just getting into the actual sports, but the discipline behind it, like
Right.
the systems that get that is in the minds of a sports person.
Right. The dedication. It's not, you
Yeah.
can't just show up once or twice in the season. It's what you build on every day, every practice, every
Mhm.
week.
Even if you don't
Compounding.
feel like it today.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And now let's talk about like your businesses now. What are you into? We already talked about. We already know that you're into events planning. You're still very
Yep.
much into that.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I've grown my team now. So it's mostly I delegate to my team to execute the vision. It's still tough for me to let go, let go of the, I guess, my control over things and how I like things done. But I guess it's necessary to grow and to expand. So I'm enjoying that a little bit, stepping back a little bit and watching them execute.
How many people are in your team
3.
now?
I have 3.
So you have 3 people under you. And what kind of events do you handle?
All kinds. All the milestones that you could think of: birthday, anniversary, wedding, baby shower, bridal shower, all of the big stuff.
And you're saying you have to delegate that now because you're also into another
Yes, real estate.
thing. Okay. And how did the real estate come into the picture?
So I've been doing the event decor business for 4 years. And like I said, I love it. I love the new connections and meeting people and nurturing those relationships. But I kind of wanted, it was still a nagging feeling about the finance sector and still wanting to make more of an impact when it came to that. So I made the transition to real estate. I got my real estate license. And so now I am pursuing that business. Yeah.
So this is more like personal houses of
Yes.
of families and all that.
Right.
How long have you been into this?
About a year now.
It's funny. I have a colleague who used to work in the news with me back in Manila, and now she's here in Canada, and she's doing real estate, and she's saying the same thing. It's like being able to find the perfect home for a family is something that she finds very fulfilling.
Right.
So for a year you've been doing this, and the Canadian market is just crazy. I mean, a lot of Canadians can't afford a house.
That's true.
What are the things that, okay, give us some tips.
I think setting realistic expectations and kind of making a plan with my clients is probably the most fulfilling thing. Because like you're saying, it's difficult, and to see someone achieve that and work on that slowly over time is probably the most impactful thing that somebody could offer.
And then there's always the question of, should I rent or should I buy? Of course, there's no blanket answer. It depends on each person's circumstance. But what is it to consider? Like for newlywed couples, for example, should we rent or should we buy? Because when we're buying, then our money is going to something that we'll eventually own. But when we're renting, we're just pretty much kissing our money goodbye every month, right?
I definitely think that entering the market, if it's feasible for you, is definitely the best option. But sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes maybe you're renting where you can live right now, and then you buy something that maybe you're using as a rental property to gain equity from in the future to help with the down payment for the house that you'll eventually live in. So I think that it's really independent to each person's situation.
Are those kinds of advice? Do you give those kinds of advice too?
Yeah, I think family planning is big for me. I want everyone. Like I said, I love hosting, so it's my dream to be able to give that feeling to somebody else, to be able to host their in their home and host the milestones and the birthday parties and have the grandkids come over, all of those things.
Has that ever happened? Like you sold them a home, and then now you're the one fixing the first birthday party of the one that you sold the home to.
Yes. Actually, in the reverse, for the I did a baby shower for a client, and they were looking for a home before the baby came, and we had been looking for months, and finally were able to find them the house that they wanted. And for me, I was so emotional because I was like, this is where your family is going to be growing in this home. So it went from just celebrating the anticipation of the baby to now I give them gift cards to go to Babies R Us to get like the gates, like for the stairs and stuff like that, because now the baby's here and going to be crawling soon and baby proofing the house. So it's kind of surreal to see that kind of vision come to life.
Do you say you're more involved as a real estate person? Because not all of those are part of the responsibility of.
Oh no.
Of your broker. Do I call? Are you a broker? Or
real estate agent.
Agent. Yeah. Okay. What's the difference? Agent, broker. Is it the license?
Yeah, it's just it's a
Uh-huh.
license that's different.
Okay. So yeah, so that's not because when I find my broker or my agent, and then I'll expect him to like sit with me and plan my life with you and give me some advice, right? I mean, it's something you do, but not everyone does that, right?
No, I definitely think like you're like what you were saying earlier. Sometimes people do just see it as a number.
Mm.
But I don't see it as selling houses. I really see it as a relationship building business. Because yeah, I could sell you a house, but if you don't have a good experience with me, that then my business stops there. As
Mm.
opposed to if I provide an experience that people are going to remember and people are going to rant and rave to their friends about, that I think that impact ripples out much further than just being like, okay, deal's closed, we're done here, and that's it.
Now that you mentioned that, one of the things we believe in here in Filipino TV is one of the visions of the company is making the Filipino Canadians realize that they're creators, and maybe redefining creators is not just the ones we usually see on television, for example, you know, the actors, the actresses, or the painters or the visual artists, but in our daily work, whether it's not directly in the arts field. For example, you're a real estate broker, you're a you're an administration assistant, you're a
Mhm.
receptionist, you're a whatever it is that you do, that you can also be a creator, meaning your creativity is also coming out in the things that you do,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I just wanted to get your thoughts about that, because that's one of the things that we really believe in Filipino TV. And you were saying that by saying, like, you know, you're a real estate agent, but you are using your creativity, your connection with people, in the people that you meet or your clients, you know.
I think, yeah, like being able to, uh, you're bringing that dream to life through your planning, through through my expertise, through the experience that you're providing with them, the trust that they're building with you, all of those things combined, that essentially brings that vision to life. So I guess, yeah, definitely you are a creator of that.
Mm-hmm. And that's what like what makes you love your job, what makes you.
I like a challenge. So when you're saying that it's hard to get into the real estate market, being able to say, maybe not right now, but this is something totally doable for you. If we can plan this together, we can work together. Again, like building on the teamwork aspect of it, and the dedication, and the self discipline, all of those things. Um, I think seeing that come to fruition is so rewarding. Really.
Mhm. So now pretty much at 34 years old, you've been through quite a journey in your life, and in your relationships. As a woman, what can you tell other women about relationships with you know um romantic relationships, getting
Romantically.
into actually having a family.
I think living for yourself first, being completely authentic to yourself and genuine to who you are. I think a lot of the times, women, mothers, they get lost in that role, and sometimes they forget who they are, and by living in, I guess, in a box, or what you think society thinks that you're
Mm.
supposed to do, or how you're supposed to conduct yourself, or anything like that. I think it kind of hinders your own growth, and kind of not prevents you from being happy, but
Yeah.
I guess it gets in the way of who you're supposed to be and the journey that you're supposed to be on. And I think that being on a journey that's authentic to you, and having your kids, or having your family kind of see you in that light, I think it's inspiring to them, and you're able to give much more when you're being true to yourself. I think
Hmm.
in whether it's like in a romantic relationship or anything like that, I think just being genuine to yourself.
We didn't get to finish that, so you had to. No, I just went back to my
Yeah.
topic earlier, because we talked about you're the father of your
Mhm.
eldest,
Yeah.
and then what happened after that? And then now you have
Okay.
now you're married, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I am married. I think that that's kind of the thing. I wasn't really sure of who I was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to figure out like, what am I supposed to be doing? Who am I supposed to be? And I think that I wasn't able to see like myself in that relationship. So ultimately, that didn't end up working out. But I am with my husband Jeremy now. Um, and I think that now more than ever, I think with my kids being older, I am able to see myself for who I'm supposed to be. And I think that I'm a better wife in that way. I'm a better mother in that way. Everything seems to flow just easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How did you meet Jeremy?
Oh, basketball, Filipino basketball. Yeah. We've known each other for a very long time. I guess we were friends like growing up, but never
Oh, so
romantically.
you knew him
Yeah.
from when you were younger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 11, 12 years old, maybe even younger. Yeah. So we reconnected in my mid 20s after my son was born. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
now we have twin daughters.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Is that in the his genes? The
Both. And I
twins?
wish that someone would have mentioned that to us before.
Oh, you didn't
You know,
know
we
that it
didn't
was in
know.
the
Yeah.
genes?
So that was a surprise. It was an interesting surprise. But
Yeah. Both both
girls.
two
Yeah. Two
girls.
girls.
And how old are they?
They're turning 7 this month.
Turning 7.
Yeah.
So every single birthday was.
Yeah. It's been interesting. They always want different things. So this is the first year that they want the same thing. So I'm a little like they
Oh,
let me off
okay.
the hook this year. It's a little bit easier than
Uh-huh.
trying to mesh Spider-Man and Hello Kitty theme party.
Okay, so how's Jeremy like?
Jeremy is a good balance for me. I think I'm very much like my dad, analytical thinker, very structured in in parenting. He's definitely more laid back, go with the flow type. So I think that we're a good match. We're not too polar opposite. I think
Mm-hmm.
that we compromise a lot. We're a good team for sure.
What are your parenting values, your non-negotiables?
Following things through, whether it's a dance
You gotta
camp or
finish
something
it
like
when
that.
you
Yeah, we
start
start
it.
something, we finish
That's
it.
so very athlete of you.
Yeah. That's definitely one of them. Um, I think that as a parent, allowing myself to make mistakes and letting the kids know that I've made a mistake. Sometimes parents, you want to be perfect for your kids, and you don't. That it kind of rubs off onto them where they think that they also have to be perfect. So if I make a mistake, maybe I'm having a bad day or something like that, I will apologize to the kids when I'm wrong. More open for dialogue as opposed to a parent who would say it's my way because I say so. I think
Which
being
is
more fluid
different
that way.
from at least my parents'
Yeah.
generation.
Oh, for sure. More open for conversation. I mean, we're still going to do it my way, but we're going to talk about it
Exactly.
first. Yeah.
That's how I am with my kids. I'm like, this is not a democracy.
Yeah.
This is a dictatorship. I have a phrase at home that what is it? Parents make decisions.
Mhm.
I mean, we can hear you,
Yeah.
but the decisions are never yours.
Right.
Sorry.
Ultimately.
So you still have, I'm seeing a good balance of like still a little bit of the discipline of what your parents, at least your dad,
Right.
had when you were growing up. Like now you're implementing it with your kids, but you're also very can you say who's you're the stricter one
I'm
between
definitely
you
the
and
stricter
Jeremy?
one.
Okay.
1,000%. Yeah.
Is Jeremy was he, how much of the Filipino culture is still in him? He was born and raised here as well.
Born and raised here.
Okay.
I wouldn't say too much. I think I definitely have more of the influence, which I try and find a good balance for, because I do think that that there are some values that I think are so important for the kids to know, and then some things that I kind of tweaked to make work for us now in today's society.
Okay. In the how many years have you been married? Jeremy?
This will be going on the second anniversary.
Second anniversary. Yeah. Okay. What are you're still in your honeymoon period.
Yeah. Oh, but we've been together for like 9 years. Yeah. So that's why I'm getting all the anniversaries right.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Sorry. I didn't mean to. I also need to do my math when it comes to that. What are your vision for the future? Because when you become a parent, it's a different planet, right?
Yeah.
It changes you. I don't know. Is that the same? Is it the same thing that you feel? Because when I was younger, I used to party a lot. I mean, not I'm not a super party girl. I had my career, but to balance it off, I was going out a lot. You know, you think of yourself. You didn't think you were just thinking of yourself,
right? Until
your kids come along, right? And then I really think it's a different planet altogether.
Totally. I think that when I was pregnant with my son, I had a whole idea of what it was going to be like. He's going to only eat organic food and he's going to have scheduled sleeping time and all of these things. And then when it happens, it all gets thrown to you. You go into survival mode, right? So I think to be a little bit more gracious with myself, if things don't work out how I expected them to be, we'll just like pivot and we'll navigate through it. It's not going to be the end of the world, like I originally might have thought previously. So that's one thing for sure that does change. I think learning to be more forgiving of yourself and just gracious, and maybe not all mistakes are it's not a negative, it's a lesson learned, and it's probably more beneficial to the family that you went through and you're able to overcome it as opposed to being crippled by it.
It's funny how parenthood is actually a lesson for us more than for our kids.
Oh, yeah.
What I have reflected on and what I have observed about being a parent is that you have to deal with your own ghosts, with your own baggages, because if you don't, then you're not going to turn out to be a great parent. So you just started out the journey. I'm going to be a great mom. I'm going to be a good mom. From great to good. I'm going to be a good parent. But you didn't know what that actually entails. That actually entails facing yourself in the mirror. And some of the things that you said, this is already me. You know, after a while, you get to that age where love me or leave me. This is how I am. And you can do that to your partner. You can say, I don't make up the bed. And, you know, you either love it or you leave it. But I see that it's not the same case with your kids. Because if you don't change your faults, or at least try to be a better person in some of those aspects, then they see that, they tap into that, they emulate that, they think that that's how it is, because it's such a tall order. Everything that you are is their ideal of how the world is, or like how you treat your kids is how they're gonna expect to be treated by people. Right. And when I realized that, it was for a time debilitating. It's like, seriously, how can I step up to this role, right? That's why a lot of people are scared of being parents. I mean, it's
a huge responsibility.
It's very understandable, and sometimes they can't really pinpoint it. Like, I'm just scared of I don't know if I'm going to be a good parent, is like that. But behind that is the whole psyche of, why do I have to face my ghosts? I mean, I already buried all my, and I want to live with my bad habits. You know, I want them. I embrace them. If I smoke, I want to continue smoking. But hell, you gotta stop when you have kids, right? I mean, So those are my my own reflections in parenthood. But that's funny. It's a totally different planet altogether. How about your siblings? What were your relationship with your siblings?
I think growing up, they were much more like my mom, and then I was much more like my dad. So my parents ultimately ended up having a divorce. So obviously there was some conflicts there. Personality wise, or our characteristics were just didn't mesh. I think that we saw things from totally different perspectives. So there was a lot of I guess it was a strained relationship, I guess, growing up. Now, since we're all parents, I think that it's a totally different game for us. We relate to each other so much more because, like I was saying, we're more gracious, we're more forgiving of each other's faults, or we know that we're just trying to do our best, I guess. So I think that that kind of vulnerability has brought us closer now.
Oh, so your relationship with them has evolved as well.
Right.
And now you're more like, can you say you're close with your
Oh
siblings?
yeah, for sure. I think that's one thing for definitely being Filipino. It's big on family. So when there's cousins, there's nothing that's going to hold us back from getting all the kids together. So I think those kind of things have really brought us close.
Yeah, with cousins, you have free friends.
Yeah.
It's already there, right?
We don't see it as like extended family. They're all like, there's like siblings growing up, right? So that's important to us.
What are your thoughts on divorce?
I think divorce, I think that if it is going, I think you should definitely work on it relentlessly. I think that it's not something like, it's big for me that if you start something that you need to finish it. But I think that once it starts having an impact on the kids, I think that's a time that you might need to reevaluate. I think a lot of the time people give up too easy, for sure. But I don't think that it's like the end all be all. I think that a family can still be a unit as long as it's like an amicable split. Just making sure that the kids know that they're supported no matter what happens between the relationship of the parents. I think that's the most important thing.
Right. That's a pretty alien idea for Filipinos.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we still don't have. We're one of the very few countries in the world, the Philippines is, that do not have divorce yet. No. So it's a very alien idea for Filipinos. But so you're saying that it's there, it's on the table, it's open, you're not against it.
Right.
But you definitely have to work on it first. Like it will be the last resort if there's really no other options. No. And how do you think the divorce of your parents affected you?
I think that I was kind of I think that I was saying that it was good if it's an amicable split and the kids know that they're supported in either way. But I think that the kids were I think that the focus was on the parent relationship and not how the kids were supported afterwards. So I think that we were kind of lost and had to find our own way in that sense. There wasn't a lot of support for us. So I think that that's what's so important with me for my kids, the communication, understanding that people make mistakes, apologize, those kind of things. I think that's so big for me because adults are like, we're all human, right? So,
Right. Yeah. It's important to make your kids realize that you are human too.
Yeah.
I've been doing that as a practice with my 18-year-old now. She's of age. So like sometimes when I'm cranky, because she's an artist. I don't know if it's just much more with her that she gets to blame herself when I'm cranky.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Sometimes I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm cranky and that's on me.
Yeah.
It's not about what you've done, or it's not about, because I see it right away that she's like blaming herself for it, and it's affecting like her self-esteem and her self-worth, which is something very important for a woman, for a girl. When you're raising a girl, it's all about confidence. That's what they say. When you're raising a boy, what is it again? I don't have boys, so what is it again with boys? I've forgotten.
I don't know.
Yeah, so it's really confidence for women. What I also it's funny what I'm trying to observe about boys when they're being raised. Maybe because I'm Filipino, like, are you still raising a gentleman? Like, are you still raising
is such a gentleman?
Really?
He is. I honestly, it's like I cannot take any credit for it. He was always that way. He's so kind to his sisters, and sometimes too kind. Sometimes they just run over him. So I try to instill some more like confidence and allow him to set boundaries and stuff like that, because he's so giving to them and so like selfless, really. So I'm really blessed.
That's
in that
so
way.
sweet.
Yeah, I know.
How old is Mason? Is the eldest?
Yeah,
right?
he's 11. He'll be 12 this
He's
summer.
11. That's great. Maybe that's the maybe that's the Filipino in him, or maybe did his dad
Yeah,
maybe have an input in?
yeah, I think he's also very selfless, I think. Yeah. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of that trait was passed on to Mason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How's your relationship with, like, yeah, your ex boyfriend, the father of your eldest,
We
and
love Mason so much that there's like any personal differences are totally put to the side. Like he
mm-hmm.
is number one for sure. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that maybe in the beginning there was like a lot of emotion and a lot of
Mm.
immaturity causing like conflict. But once we realized that we're both doing our job to give him the best life possible and we both want what's best for him, I don't think that there's any argument that can come out of that because he's the number one priority. So
Mm-hmm.
it's good to work in a team like that when we're both working on a common goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are the other things you think you're working on now? Because I see that throughout the conversation, I've seen a lot of, like a realization growth on your part at this at this age. At
Yeah.
least we're maturing well.
Yeah.
But what are the things you think you're working on with yourself?
um Confidence for sure. I think that it's not about like how you portray yourself. It's actually like the self-talk. Sometimes like negative thoughts will just pop in and kind of like hinder you from growing in the way that you should be. And you don't even, it's all subconscious. So I think like
Mm.
training my mind to be positive and to encourage myself as much as I encourage others, and having that same like as supportive as I am and encouraging as I am to my kids, I should be able to show that same like love and encouragement to myself. I think that's a big thing for me right now.
That's true. That's true. Now that you said it, it's funny that sometimes we dole out the advice that we could use ourselves,
Right.
but at least knowing it is half the battle.
Right.
So we know that's where we're supposed to go.
Mhm.
So okay, so confidence. That's a constant thing with women.
Yeah.
No, I think because also, well, everything else, all the other factors about, even if you were raised like a confident woman, there's something in society that just makes you question it once in a while. There's a pushback, there's a role of, and even if we say that women are pretty much equal already, there's still, it's
Oh,
still not
but
a
we're supposed to wear
reality.
so many hats. You're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be the like the caretaker for the children. We're supposed to be someone who's meal prepping, someone who has who's educated, someone who is running or is
Mm-hmm.
career driven, all of these things, and it's a lot. I don't think
Right.
that all of those roles are really supposed to be put on one person. It takes like it takes a whole team, right? So I think that if we realize that you're actually doing a good job, you're doing like the best that you can with what you have, and I think that that's something that's huge because society does demand so much from us. We're supposed to be everywhere at the same, everywhere all at once, right?
That's true. And sometimes it's the opposites that we're expected to be.
Mm-hmm.
You're expected to be strong, yet you're expected to be gentle.
Yeah.
You're
Finding that balance of being feminine but not too
Yeah, there was a study. There was something that I read recently, which there were articles like that before, but like, um, women end up not liking other women who present themselves to be strong. But when the same traits are in men, they're actually
admirable
admirable,
for
right? I
sure.
mean, yeah, that's so. I think just being aware of that as women as well, because when I checked myself and I'm like, you know what, who are the women I didn't like at work? And I'm like, this one, did they have those traits that if it were a man, I would have admired it? And I'm guilty.
That's so interesting. That's
And I'm like, you know what? Yeah. And I'm working on, so do I like her better now? Wait. I'm working on that.
Yeah.
I can work on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's our own self-reflection about, we're also part of that. We're
Mhm.
also part of
We play into
kind
it
of,
for sure.
yeah. So yeah, it's still part of the funny things that parenthood makes you what happens in parenthood, all the things you think about. There's anything else that you
Um,
want to share Or
I don't know. We've covered so much.
maybe just about your business. Maybe you can just invite them. Take this opportunity. We have a whole Filipino community who are
Yeah.
listening to us.
I think that anyone who's interested or who's maybe nervous about entering the market, I'm one of those people who is definitely not like a pushy person or a salesperson. I'm more of a listener. I really care about what your needs are, what your goals are, what your family dreams are. So if I can help anyone get to those goals and make a plan like that, I think that I'm always here to support and to offer any advice that you might need from me.
You have a certain area. Is it like that? Like
I specialize in the Durham region, but I'll go wherever the business calls me. Yeah.
So basically anywhere in the GTA
Yeah.
is okay. Okay. And the events planning might as well.
Yes.
Do you have a separate website for that?
Yep, that one's Creative Clusters. And for all the milestones, anything like that, I love. Me and my team are always here to help, and whether it's executing a vision that you already have, or maybe you don't even know where to start,
Mhm.
we're also here for any of those your planning needs.
Thank you so much, Susie. Thank you for the time that you've given us here, and I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us in another episode of the CHERIE MERCADO podcast. We'll see you again next week. Bye.